So you want to move to San Antonio, Texas? Well, in this video, we're going to step you through the home buying process step by step.
We're going to tell you the ins and outs, give you some hints and tricks, and walk you through the process in buying your home. And we're going to get started on that right now. If this is your first time in channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in San Antonio, Texas, then make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, and you'll be the first to receive notifications of the changing market in San Antonio, Texas.
We're Brian and Brenda Jones, the proud owners of Lone Star Home Realty. We'd be happy to help you any way we can. We get calls from people like you every day. So if you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, give us a call, let us help you.
All of our information is in the box below. You can call us, text us, email us, or even sign up for a Zoom. We would love to chat with you and help you make a smooth move to San Antonio. Let's get started on the home buying process, babe.
Let's do it. The home buying process starts typically long before you actually go see properties, or it should. Because if you're looking at properties online or you go see some open houses and stuff, you might get some ideas, but you also might be led astray.
So the first thing you want to do when you're really starting your home buying process is write down your wants and your needs. Those are two very different things, especially in home buying. You may think you need 5 bedrooms, but do you really? You may get away with 4. Do you really need a large yard? Could you have a smaller one and have less yard work? Yeah, probably. Or you may think you absolutely don't want a pool, and then you find the absolute beautiful house and it has one. So you really need to write down, what do you absolutely have to have in the house? You have to have it. Those are drop deads. They don't have it, it's not going to happen.
Non-negotiables.
Yeah. And then what do you want? Do you want a pool? Do you want a large yard? Do you want a 3-car garage? Do you want a 2-story with the master down? Those are things you have to figure out. Master down, is that a want or a need? Do you have to have the master down because you don't want to climb stairs all day? Or is it, yeah, that's nice, but I'm young enough, I don't mind doing the stairs, I can have the bedrooms upstairs. So those are really big things that you need to write down from the very beginning and know exactly what you're looking for.
Also need to check your credit score. Search on your credit with Experian or one of the other CreditWise or one of the other websites. And again, it's not going to be accurate, but it'll give you a ballpark idea of where you are and what you might need to do to fix it. Or your lender can help you with that as well.
Yeah, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you, hook you up with somebody that can definitely help you get that credit score in check.
And then after that's done, you need to be able to set a budget.
Yep.
So that's
important.
That's a no-brainer, but it's you would think it's a no-brainer, but it's very important, and you need to know exactly what you can spend to get into this home.
Best way to do that is to talk to a lender, a mortgage lender. And they should be able to give you a pre-approval just by asking you simple questions. What's your income? What are your expenses? Lots of different questions that are simple to answer, but they will give you just an amazing amount of information to move you forward on the home buying process.
And if you want help as far as mortgage lender do I look for, give us a call. We'd be happy to help you make that choice.
Yeah, we have several great lenders that we can refer you to, and you can figure out which one works best with your personality, but we can definitely help you with that as well. Okay, now comes the fun part. You've got all your foundation set. You know your budget. You know your pre-approval. Now what do we do?
House hunting.
Let's start looking at houses.
So we go shopping for houses and come up with a list of homes that meet your budget, meet your needs, meet your wants, and see what we can do to get you in the right place.
And we'll set you up on a search. I know most people are looking online themselves, but we can definitely set you up on a search based on your criteria as well to help you. And that way you'll be the first to know when something pops on the market or has a price change and it drops down into your budget, anything like that we can help you with. And then you can always go to open houses. Open houses are fun. They're very much advertised. You can see them on Zillow and all the Realtor.coms and everything. They're normally updated on there. The biggest thing about an open house, guys, you can go without a realtor, but please make sure that you tell the agent working the open house that you are represented by an agent. That way our relationship is protected. They're not led astray, I guess, or misinformed or misled, so that they know that you are working with an agent, and they'll be happy to show you around the house, give you information without interfering in the relationship or the contract that we have with you.
Also, stay organized, because it's possible. Been with people who we've shown multiple homes multiple times over periods of months.
And even multiple homes in one day.
Multiple homes in one day.
And they all start running together.
They do start running together, and you got to be organized as far as taking notes of the home that you're in. This does not have a half bath, or this does not have a big backyard, or this needs a new roof.
Or I love this kitchen, or this seemed to be great. This would work great. Whatever your notes are, I would definitely take paper with you. When we're showing homes on houses, I definitely take notes as you're reacting to the home, so that you have some information on what your reaction and what your initial feeling was on the home. And then before we leave, after we've taken you through the entire home, we always ask you to rank the home.
From 0 to 10, with 0 being, we don't need to go inside this house, all the way to 10, which happens, all the way to 10, which is, why haven't you written the contract yet, Brian?
And that way, it just helps you kind of compare and contrast as we're moving from home to home. What do I feel about this one? And then you go to the next one. Well, what do I feel about this one? And how does it compare to the last one? And so that way you can kind of stay organized and keep track of the different homes that you're going through to make a good decision.
It's also important to know what type of construction you're looking for. Are you looking for a new construction or pre-owned? Or maybe you don't know, and maybe we can help you with that. So pre-owned comes with a whole lot of potential issues. It's been lived in. It's been, depending on how old the home is, could have lots of problems. A brand new home, a new build, could also have problems, but not as many. But you also get a 10-year builder's warranty, so that helps a lot.
But you also have to remember, on a pre-owned home, there's a lot of pluses that you don't get with a brand new one. You get grass for the most part. It's huge. You get grass, you get ceiling fans, you get window treatments, you get updates to the home. So there's pluses and minuses on both sides. Again, when you go in, you can go in and walk through the model home. Feel free to go talk to them. Again, like on an open house, make sure you let the agent know that you are represented by an agent or realtor working with you, because that way you're protecting that. And even with the new builds, you're going to definitely want an agent. I know a lot of times people go into a new build thinking that it's a brand new house, I don't need an agent. That's not true. The builders are definitely looking out for themselves. The contracts are specifically written on the builder's contract form, so it's totally different than a pre-owned home that we write. So all of that contract is there to protect the builder and not the buyer. So we are there to help you walk through it, make sure you're protected, make sure you're getting all the benefits that you're going to need from the construction company. So
the builder, they write those contracts specifically for them. And there's so many different ways that the builder wins on their contract. On a pre-owned home, the contract that we write is written on a state-created form. It tends more to the buyer. Protection of the buyer. Protection of the buyer, absolutely. Yeah. And so it's important to know those things before you go into a new build or new construction. You're walking into the eye of the beast if you go into a builder without a realtor. Yep. So just make sure you're aware of that. You know what you're getting into. All right. So be open-minded. A lot of people will go in and say, I absolutely want a new build. And then we start looking through the new builds and they're like, ooh, these are really small lots. Or the homes are small. The house is small. The rooms are small. Well, they're going to be a lot smaller, and the lots are going to be a lot smaller than a home that was built 20, 30 years ago, because that's the nature of the beast of construction nowadays, and that we're running out of space. And so, be open-minded, because you may think one way and all of a sudden you fall in love with another one. Now, if you've got $1 million budget, we'll be able to help you with that as well, because obviously with $1 million budget here in San Antonio, you're going to be able to buy a lot bigger lot and a lot bigger home. So be open-minded to whatever your situation may be. And let me just tell you a little personal story about being open-minded. When we bought our current home,
Brian was absolutely against pools. I'm not going to have a pool. I don't want a pool. I'm never going to have a pool. And all of a sudden this house popped up and he's like, oh my gosh, did you see this house? And I'm like, you do realize it has a pool, right? And he goes, well, I didn't say I would never own a pool. Now he says he will never build his own pool. So be open-minded, because you may find the home of your dreams and it's a little bit different than what you're expecting.
And that was before we were realtors.
Yeah, that was before we were agents. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you find the home, you've fallen in love with it. We're going to pull the trigger. What happens next?
Well, now we have to see how the house is priced. Is the home property priced right? Is it high? Is it low? And if it's low, why is it low? We go through the seller's disclosures to see what may be issues on the house. We run comps, comparable properties, to see, again, the value of the home is it in line with what they're asking. And if it's not, then we can offer less and explain that to the seller that
we want to make sure that you're going in at the price that's right on the home. Not too high, not too low. You may tell us, you want to go in and offer $20,000 less than they're asking, and we're going to tell you that's not going to work. So we're going to run the data and give you solid information on where we see and believe that you should go in and make that offer and what the price should be on the home.
And if you're not a cash buyer, you're going to be protected by the appraisal,
yeah, which
we'll get to in just a minute. But we don't want to insult the seller. We don't want to lowball them just because everybody wants to do
it. That's not a good plan.
Not a good plan, because otherwise you're probably not going to hear from them. So then we also have to consider contingencies.
Yeah.
Do you have a house to sell in order to buy a house? And if that's the case, we need to get your current property listed before we could offer on a new home.
And the lender will be able to tell you that. I know some people are like, well, I don't know. Do I need to sell before I buy? Or the lender is going to be able to look at all of your information, run your numbers, and say, absolutely, you have to sell this house in order to put that money towards a new one. Or you may be in the situation where she's like, no, you don't have to. You can go ahead, buy what you want to buy, and then sell that one, and you'll be fine. So, but those all need to be included in our offer, because if we have the contingency of selling the home, that needs to be aware to the seller when we make the offer. But you also need to consider the contingency on getting the inspection, and we'll walk you through all of the different pieces of that puzzle in order to make sure that you're protected and you have the time set aside in the contract. So then Brian goes to work. Once we get all of that written up and the seller comes back and says, I accept your offer, well, I stepped ahead. Once we make the offer,
then we negotiate with the seller to come to terms, because it's not just the price. It could also be whether the seller is going to pay for the title policy. It could also determine if the seller doesn't have a survey and we can't find one, then who's going to pay for getting a new one? So there's a myriad of different topics in a contract that can be negotiated. It's not simply the price.
No, and that's Brian's specialty. He will definitely walk you through each piece of that. There's just so many small little details that go into it, and he will negotiate on your behalf and make sure that it comes to a mutual agreement for everybody involved. Then we get signatures from everybody.
And everybody signs, and it becomes an executed contract. And so, or executory contract, actually. And once everybody signed, then we have 3 days after we sign the contract.
Is that calendar days or business days?
That is business days.
Business days.
Business days. We have 3 business days to deposit earnest money and an option fee. Now, the option fee is something we haven't talked about, but the option means that you have a period of time to do your due diligence, which is the inspections. And so we want to make sure that this is the home you want, and you're ready to commit to making this property yours. And so the option fee, typically $100, $200, could be higher, but it's not much.
It's not normally,
and it's,
though.
5 to 10 days worth of time to get an inspector out there, determine what you want to ask for, or if there's anything to ask for, and negotiate those with the seller, and whether you're going to move forward or you're going to back out based on what you found in the inspection.
And we do have a list of inspectors that can work for you. You can vet them or you can use your own. So it all depends on if you have that in your back pocket. If not, we can definitely help you. So what happens if we have the inspection done and we can't come to terms with the seller?
So typically that means we're going to back out because we want to preserve your earnest money. You'll lose the option fee.
And how much is earnest money?
Earnest money is typically 1% of the contract price. So
that's a big chunk of money.
On a $500,000 home, it's going to be $5,000 earnest money.
So you want to protect that. That's why you have the option fee.
So the $100 or $200 protects your $5,000.
Yep. So you would lose the $100 option fee in order to get the $5,000 back.
Right.
So that's why it's so important to have everything timed out, get that inspection done as quickly as possible, and get those negotiations underway to see exactly where we're going to land.
So the option fee protects you, and it gives you the unrestricted right to terminate the contract and get your earnest money back.
Okay, so we talked about once we're under contract, everybody's accepted, we have the inspection fee, and you kind of touched on the appraisal. What is the appraisal for?
Okay, so the lender, if you're not a cash buyer, even if you are a cash buyer, you can still get an appraisal done. However, you're going to lose your earnest money if you back out. But the appraisal, the lender orders an appraisal, and it's a third-party independent appraiser who comes out, has no ties to the lender, has no ties to the realtor, has no ties to the seller or the buyer. And they go out there and they run their analysis of what the property is worth. They run the comps, they run the current conditions of the home. They come out to the home, they take pictures, they look at other properties, and then they come up with a value. And if that value meets the contract price or above, then we're in good shape. If not, we have another negotiation to go through. Because if it's below, if the appraisal comes back lower than the contract price, then we have to negotiate with the seller again. What are we going to do? Are we going to back out and you can't walk away and get your earnest money back? Or you want to increase your cash to cover the difference. The lender is only going to lend on appraised value. So
there may be a gap there. And so your decision is,
am I going to cover
the gap or not with my own cash?
And if you're going to cover the gap, you got to be able to do that. And if you're not able to cover the gap, maybe we can negotiate with the seller to either meet you halfway or the seller can come down on the price. So, and we come to the contract price, which is the appraised value.
Yeah, so it's definitely another negotiation, and it's so heartbreaking when that happens because you're at the very end, everybody is excited, and we're like, oh, shooting for close, and then all of a sudden we have another issue to have to work through. So, and
that's very true because the appraisal typically happens a week to 10 days before closing day.
Sometimes it's even closer.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of time, and so it's very important that we keep our emotions in check and we don't go we don't go off the rails, and listen to us, let us help you walk through this process so that we can get you what you're needing.
Get you over the finish line. So let's say the appraisal comes in, everything is golden, and then what happens? Because we're so close to the finish line.
So we're close to the finish line, and the lender is going to pull your credit again. They're going to verify your employment. They're going to verify your bank accounts. All the information that you've given them, they're going to take it all out once again just to make sure nothing crazy has happened in the
You haven't bought furniture, you haven't bought a car, you haven't changed jobs, you weren't fired.
No Harleys.
Yeah, don't buy any Harleys. Don't buy anything fun. Just wait until we close and we tell you it's funded. Don't do anything. But what do? We have a walkthrough.
Yep.
So we'll walk through typically the day before closing. So in this whole process, we keep talking about the lender. You have the lender and you have the title company. And both of them are working diligently in the background. It seems like it's very quiet on our end, but there's so many feet paddling under the water that you may or may not see. And so title's working, lender's working, everybody's working. Title will contact everybody and say, okay, lender says we're good to close. We'll set a date. that is workable for you, and we will plan on meeting you at the closing table. But before that, typically the day before, we don't usually do it the day of, typically the day before, we're going to schedule a final walkthrough of the home. And that is just to make sure, one, if we've requested any repairs, that those have been completed, and two, that they have left the home in pristine condition, exact condition, maybe not
pristine. The condition
pristine,
you're expecting.
the condition that we expected, and the condition that we saw the home. So that's just to ensure that everything is as it should be before we actually sign all of the documents.
So on closing day, which is hopefully a happy day, we go to the closing. We go to the title company.
It should be a happy day if
It
you're
should be a
buying a
happy day.
house.
And we go to the closing table at the title company. You bring your driver's license.
Don't forget your driver's
license. And so we get that. It's typically a escrow officer, or it could be a notary, and they will go through all the documents line by line, page by page.
It generally takes, I would say, about an hour or so to do as a buyer,
depending on who the closer is.
Yeah, the closer and the type of loan that you're getting. And the lender. The lender documents can change drastically from lender to lender. But the lender will let you know exactly how much money you need to bring to the closing table. Can they bring a personal check?
No.
No. It has to be a cashier check.
Cashier's check, or you can wire the funds to the title company.
Yep. Now, if you wire it, you guys will get lots of information from title, lending, everybody about wire fraud. It's a very real thing. It's very scary, and we've seen lots of people get messed up really bad because of wire fraud. So just make sure that before you do anything, that you are contacting the title company. They will give you all of the specific information as far as where and how and who to send the money to, so that it goes through successfully. So just you can either wire fund it, or you can bring a cashier's check. Now,
so
wire funding is going to close a lot faster
Right.
than a cashier's check. So just know that.
So once all the closing documents have been signed by both parties, the documents go back to the lender for verification and approval, and then they will fund the transaction.
And that's what we're waiting for. You typically will not get the keys to your new home, garage door openers, mailboxes, nothing like that.
Until it's funded.
Until it's funded. So don't expect them at your closing. Don't expect to immediately leave the closing table and go to the house and start moving your stuff in. You will have to wait typically 30 minutes, an hour, maybe a couple hours for the lender to do their work and confirm everything is done and needed to be done, in order to send us the information that it's funded, and then that gets blasted out to everybody. So
and guess what's after that?
woohoo! You get
Congratulations!
Yay! So congratulations, you just bought your new home. So we hope that you have found this information helpful. It's a big process on buying a house. It's definitely not something that's simple. We recommend that you have a realtor that is representing you in this whole process. We can hold your hand. We can guide you and help you make the best decision for your family. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tap the bell to get information. And
leave some comments below. Let us know if this was helpful.
Give us a call. We'll be glad to help you.
See you next time.